Hello everybody, my name is ISK. Welcome to the guide on LP, and specifically how to get ISK from LP doing missions. So, what is LP? Well, LP is loyalty points and is a reward you get from doing missions. You can see here, you get loyalty points. Loyalty points is where the majority of the ISK comes from in missions, because a loyalty point can be exchanged in a so-called loyalty point store, as you can see here, in stations owned by the corp you're doing missions for. So this is a Sisters of Eve agent, and this is a Sisters of Eve station. Sisters of Eve stations will then have Sisters of Eve's loyalty point stores. You get your loyalty points by doing the missions. You can actually see them here in your wallet as well. See here, Sisters of Eve, 38k loyalty points I got right here. Then what I can do is I can go in the loyalty point store and I can buy this, for example, this mining connections book by exchanging 15k LP and 10 million ISK, and I'll get this mining connections skill book. I can do it with a bunch of other things too, but the point is I can sell this item on the market, and in that way I've effectively turned my LP into ISK. Depending on which corp you're running missions for, you can get different amounts of ISK per loyalty points or LP. So for example, I'm running Sisters of Eve missions here, so each LP is worth about 1.2k ISK for Sisters of Eve. So this 10k loyalty points here is worth about 12 million ISK. So that you can see how loyalty points is dwarfing the amount of ISK you get from just the bonus rewards and the standard rewards. So it's really good to have a decent understanding of loyalty points, because this is where a large chunk or the majority of your ISK is going to come from missions. Missions can be very confusing, so it can be very confusing where to run them, which system, which corp to run them for. So in short, I'll say go for security agents because they give the best rewards. The mining and research agents do not give at all as good ISK or rewards as the security agents. These are the ones you want to go for if you want the best ISK per hour. Then you can also run missions in high sec, you can run them in low sec, null sec, etc, etc. You want to run them in high sec if you want to have a consistent stream of income. Low sec and null sec is also possible, but the thing is it's a lot more dangerous here because people can actively hunt you. Obviously people can gank you here in high sec, but that's a lot less common than people actively hunting you in low sec and null sec. The thing is, LP that you get and also mission rewards are also higher the lower the security status. So this means that null sec will give more than low sec will give more than high sec. But high sec still is really good because of how safe it is and consistent it is. So in the long run, you'll usually get a bit more ISK from high sec missions unless you're specifically specialized in low sec and null sec. So we're going to be doing missions then in high sec to do it more safely and consistently. So when I say that also the lower the security status is, the more LP and money you get, this also applies to security statuses within the group of security status. So within high sec, you can also get low security statuses. For example, 0.5 is lower than 0.6, 0.6 is lower than 0.7. The lower one gives better. So 0.5 is the best type of system you want to do missions for in high sec, because they're going to give the most amount of loyalty points and money. I think it's about 10% more loyalty points and money for each 0.1 step down of security status. So I think 0.6 gives 10% more than 0.7, etc. If you're running missions in high sec, you're always going to be wanting to run L4 missions because they give by far the best rewards. And which corps should you then run missions for? Well, I'll run missions for Sisters of Eve. This is because when I discussed items from loyalty points, how you can get items here, these can obviously be worth different things. If we look on the market, for example, Thuka large cap battery, there's a Thuka tribe corp that you can run missions for. This, you can see here, the prices of this item is going all over the place. So obviously, when the price is high, this means that loyalty points are going to be worth a lot, because you can get a large cap battery, and for the same amount of, because the LP prices here are constant. However, the market changes. So if say I was doing Thuka tribe missions, and I don't know how much it costs for the Thuka large cap battery, but let's say it costs 10k. That 10k LP will be worth a lot more here than selling it here. As you can see here, you can see here the price goes up a lot more. So what I'm trying to say is that the ISK per LP is always going to be fluctuating, but in my experience, Serv and Sisters of Eve, or just Sisters of Eve, is one of the best corporations you can do in high sec. This is because they produce in their loyalty point store very many high demand items. These items that are needed a lot. Examples are the Sisters of Eve core probe launcher, Sisters of Eve combat scanner probes. These are items that are in a high demand and that are needed a lot. So that's why they, generally speaking, have pretty consistent and high ISK to LP ratios. So the ISK to LP ratio is about 1k ISK per LP to about 1.2k ISK per LP. So it's consistently pretty high. But that doesn't mean you can't run missions for other agents as well. There are other agents as well that could also have them, but you have to check yourself if you want to run other corps other than Sisters of Eve. The best way to easily check how much ISK per LP is worth in the different loyalty point stores is with this fuzzwork website. This is a website where you can compare or look at different corporations and look at the different items that are being sold in the loyalty point store and compare them to the market prices to see what you can get the best deals for. So let's say we're doing Sisters of Eve, we'll choose the Forge because the Forge is where Jita is, the main trade hub of Eve, so you'll probably find a lot more buy orders of people willing to buy your stuff, and it's going to usually be a lot easier to sell items there. But you could also choose, for example, Domain if you want to sell items in Amar. But we're going to choose the Forge because this is a very good place to run since Jita is there, a lot easier to sell stuff. And we're going to choose buy prices. This is because I want to get my ISK straight away. You know what sell prices in the market tab, where you can put an item out in a sell order and you have to wait until it gets sold. You can see sell orders obviously going to go for more than buy orders, but the thing is if you do a buy order, it's going to go straight away because you just sell the item to the buy order. So go for the buy orders if you want to get your ISK straight away. Go for sell prices if you want to keep your item sold, but you'll have to babysit it on the market and make sure it gets sold. But we're going to take buy prices because I want to get my ISK straight away. So we'll go here. So we can see here lots of different things. We'll sort by ISK per LP. We can see here for this mid-grade Virtue Delta, we get 1.2k ISK per LP. And this is a pretty good ISK per LP ratio. In fact, it's a pretty decent one actually, I would have to say. Let's say we wanted to do missions for a different corporation. For example, one that I have done before is called Camel Tech. It is in the Galente Federation faction, but there's like within the Galente Federation there are different corps. So there is one called Camel Tech, which I have actually done. You can see here Camel Tech, this one here. This is one I had done it before, and you can browse through these corps. You can see a Federation Navy, Aliastra, Roden Shipyards, all these ones. You can go to the loyalty point store. If we go back here, so we could take, for example, Camel Tech that I looked at before. Click on buy prices. I can see here, this is not as good as the Sister of Eve, but you can still get some decent prices here. 1.1k ISK per LP. You can go, for example, to Aliastra, buy prices. You can see here, 1k ISK per LP. So that wasn't as good. You can see here, it's not as good, and generally speaking, Sisters of Eve is almost always better. But you can always check for different corporations if there's maybe other one you have good standings with. But I would strongly recommend go for Sisters of Eve if you want the most consistent ISK per LP. Okay, so back to the Sisters of Eve loyalty point store on the fuzzwork website. We can see here the top thing is mid-grade Virtue Delta. See, as I told you before, they just take the price. There's a buy price here that goes in the market. So we want to always double check this because it could be that this price was recorded at one point where this was a really good offer. Then maybe someone just snagged the good offer and it goes for a really bad price anymore. So we always have to just check this because this doesn't update directly. So this updates a lot quicker in Eve Marketer, but if we want it to be even more vigilant or faster, we could even check in game. But this is Eve Marketer does drop pretty well. So you can see here it goes for 185 mil ISK, so that's good. And it's also, we have to understand that it could be, for example, some ammunition that goes for a really high ISK per LP ratio, but there's only maybe like one in stock. But here is one implant that goes for a good price. You can see here there's quite a few, but the thing is this implant goes for a really high price, so it could be worth trading in this because you get a lot of, you have to use a lot of LP to use this. If it was like one ammunition that someone was selling at a stupidly high price, then it wouldn't be worth your time to invest in that because obviously it's not going to be that much stock in there. It's important to check that there's enough stock. So we can see here there's quite a few of these implants going for like the 185, 182 million ISK mark. So this means this is a good offer to do because here's in the Forge and Perimeter, Tranquility Trading Tower. So we'll obviously, hand in our 94k LP, we'll hand in 63 million ISK to this shop, and we'll get this then mid-grade mid-grade Virtue Delta, and we can actually copy paste it and show you in game as well. So if we go into the loyalty point store, we'll show all because we can't afford it right now. Here, and we can see here mid-grade Virtue Delta. So we pay 94k LP and we pay 63 million ISK, and we'll get this item which we can sell for 180 million ISK. You also need to have one of these limited cybernetic subprocessor beta that you also need to, because it kind of like turns this into this. But when we go on the fuzzwork, you see the ISK per LP ratio, it takes into consideration that we need a limited cybernetic subprocessor. It takes into consideration that we have to pay 63 million ISK. This is the only thing you need to care about, but this is just telling you what you need when you're exchanging them. So it's not as simple as just clicking buy. You also need to bring a limited cybernetic subprocessor and 63 million ISK to do this exchange right here. But it's still true that the ISK per LP is worth 1.2k. Alright, so if we're going to summarize what we've gone through so far, For the best ISK power, you want to do security agent missions. You want to do L4 missions because they give the highest pay in the 0.5 system. And do this preferably for Sisters of Eve. You could do it for other corps, but Sisters of Eve has a good ISK per LP ratio. And also you probably want to do them in high sec to just get a bit of extra ISK. So as I said before, 0.5 system is the best rewards given out. Then you want to go on the fuzzwork site and type your corporation in here. Select corporation buy prices, look for the highest amount of ISK per LP ratio on the item here, and then just make sure in Eve Marketer that the item that you're planning on selling goes for the price they've advertised on fuzzwork, so that it's not that there's like just one very little volume. There's actually a decent amount of items that you can sell. So you can see here there's multiple ones going for 185 mil, which is where it's being advertised here on the fuzzwork site, as you can see here. So that's it for the guide on LP and turning your LP into ISK. Hope you learned something new, or at least if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.